But for now, I wanted to go ahead and just start with some brief sustainability updates and give you guys the time to sort of discuss or go over anything you may want to talk about related to the resolution for the Carbon Dividend Act. And so first off, pretty big news on the last council meeting. I believe that was March 28th. The council, the mayor and city council did approve Bryce Stewart Building as the location for the city's first solar installation. So we are now working in my office on putting together a request for proposal. We're going to have a few groups in the city review that first. But our next step will be to release that and get some bids for the moving forward with the installation. So we're moving pretty quickly on that, but very exciting. Feel free to share with any of your networks about that information. But yeah, so that's the biggest one. And oh, I'm sorry about that. Telemarketers. All right. But yeah, so that's the biggest one for right now. If there are any questions about that, I'm again happy to answer, but otherwise we can just jump right into that discussion around the resolution. But up to you guys.
Just a quick question, Helen. What was the budget for that? Was that the $125,000 budget?
Yeah, so that whole budget will be dedicated to this project. Okay. And that is part of that larger funding from the capital improvement plan. So I don't think it's this upcoming fiscal year, but the next one, we'll get the next disbursement of funds there. So that'll be, I believe it'll be $80,000 at that point.
Okay. Well, that should give us maybe 40 kilowatts of power. That should be decent.
Yeah, that's what we're anticipating it'll be, which based on some rough calculations, it is about 5% of that building's energy use, just because it is like one of our larger city buildings. Right. So, you know, but it'll also leave room if we did want to add on. Some council members before it was passed did share their comments and some interest maybe in adding on to that system with some of the rest of the money that we're going to get to offset even more of the energy use of that specific building. But we'll see what we decide to do. We obviously have some time to think through that and see how it goes with this first.
Yeah, could I give quick couple of points because we just put about $45,000 worth of solar panels on my office and down in Texas. But so things we learned is we asked for a website that constantly tells you how much generation, and then we put it on a big screen so people can see and feel good about it. And what has happened is because of that, people have started immediately thinking we should consume less. So they started turning off lights. They started raising the thermostat settings, and so just seeing it on the screen has
that's going to be in there. Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing we did was ask for 25-year warranties and everything, long range warranties. So if things go wrong, then now Bryce Building, is it somewhere where people could see it, or is it? I'm trying to picture this where it would go.
Thank you for asking. So the Bryce Stewart Building is the building directly across First Street from City Hall. So we also refer to it as City Hall South. So it is that 5-story building, not immediate visibility to the public from the ground level, which is why we are interested in something like what you described with allowing some visuals to be displayed potentially in the lobby area, especially because there is a lot of foot traffic in that building. And so we think a lot of members of the public would see it in addition to our staff. So that's definitely going into our request for proposal because of that. However, people who do work in some of the taller buildings around there will be able to see it.
Right. Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Christy, Christy, you're on mute. Okay, sorry, I thought she was talking to us. She must be on the phone.
I just got a call from Leah Lavin. She's getting ready to hop on so we can make quorum.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Great. Thank you for the update, Christy.
Sorry for that.
No worries.
And those were great questions, Rajesh. Thank you for clarifying that, Helen. That's really exciting.
Yeah. And so we will be keeping you all obviously updated as we sort of progress through that, especially sort of with the bigger steps. So, once we're about to start construction there, and anything else along the way. So you guys, of course, will get that, and we're considering other ways. Our marketing department did do a small story on it as well. So they're aware and can help us get the story out there as needed as well. But again, once they're up there, we're going to do a lot of more marketing, I think, around that. Just to bring awareness. But yeah, so I also want to thank you guys for the input that I got from the folks who did share their thoughts around that and definitely did consider some of it, which is why we did end up choosing a downtown location. So definitely helpful, and thank you again. But yeah, so I'll also go ahead and share another update that is related to recycling. This one, I will know more next week on sort of a timeline for this, but we are investing in a digital communications tool for all solid waste collections in the city, actually. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with the service finder that we currently have on our website that helps you figure out when your collection days are for different, recycling or any of the bulky item or leaf stuff. But this tool we are looking to use as a replacement for that. It'll help folks set reminders for when their collection days are. People can choose to get service alerts. So if something changes on their collection day, they will get a notification about it. But there's also a piece to this called the Waste Wizard, where people can type in an item, and if they're not sure how to dispose of it or recycle it, they can type it in, and it's very comprehensive. And it will tell you how to dispose of that item, whether that is in the recycling bin or through our hazardous waste option or in your trash or bulky item or whatever it is. And so this tool is very easy to use, very user-friendly. A lot of other North Carolina cities and cities across the country actually have already invested in this tool, and we're hoping to sort of increase awareness, reduce some confusion, reduce some of the call times and call-ins that our CityLink team get. But yeah, we're rolling that out slowly but surely. We're looking to have that out this summer sometime. But again, there's going to be a pretty big push marketing wise for that, because there will also be a phone app for that. So people don't have to go searching through our city's website, which is also a huge bonus, since things aren't necessarily always where you would think to look for them or easy to find. So having that on your phone will be, we're hoping, also very just aid in the user friendliness of it all. So those are the two big updates.
And the exciting thing is your contamination rates should drop, because even after being involved with this for so many years, every day something comes across and I don't know whether it goes, and just to prevent contamination, I would rather throw it in the trash. I mean, that's sad.
Well,
it's true. So
but it is, that's our default slogan really, is when in doubt, throw it out. Right. So, right. We have that slogan there for a reason, and it is exactly for what you said is, our ultimate goal is to reduce contamination. But yeah. So
would you get discounts on your current contracts with waste management companies because we are having this, and hopefully the contamination rates go down?
So we don't get a discount, but if it does significantly improve our contamination rate, obviously that is going to be less money that we will be paying to waste management. So it will save us money if we are able to really get the word out and get people familiar with this app and get people on it and using it for that purpose and whatever else they may need. But yeah, it seems, like I said, very comprehensive, and it can fill in suggestions. So if you type in a word that, if you type in tin and you may mean like a tin can or like aluminum foil, it will bring up those suggestions. So it really should help people find what they're looking for and how to really, the best way to get rid of it. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, that'll be a long rollout process.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say, and when it come on board, when?
Yeah, we're aiming for sometime this summer. We don't have an exact date yet. We're gonna find out more next week, but I'm thinking it'll be like July, August, I think September at the absolute latest. But yeah, we have to upload on the back end a lot of information, like to make sure that houses are getting the correct information, because all of it is address based. And so we got to make sure all of that information is correct in the system before we make it live. But yeah, so that's really what will be most of the next few months of what we're doing. Yeah, all right. So it looks like Leah is here. So we have quorum. And so we will go ahead and do roll call. So if you just want to go, we're going to just say our name and then move on to the next person.
Lee.
Sorry, go ahead.
Lee.
We got him.
Rajesh Kapileshwari.
Kira Williams.
Leah Lavin.
Christy Robinson.
Okay, and Amber Baker, it looks like, is here, but she may not be available to come off mute right now. But so now that we do have a quorum, we can go ahead and okay, thank you. There she is. Thank you, Amber. So we will now vote to accept the October minutes. And I know it seems like a long time ago, but that was the last time we had a quorum. If anybody wants to move to approve those minutes.
I'll move to approve those minutes.
Second.
All right, so we have a first and a second. Does anybody oppose the approval of the minutes? All right, great. So those minutes are now accepted. I will be posting those online now. And also, now that we have a quorum, for the sake of this month's minutes, I just want to briefly review the email vote that we had last month. So the motion that was on the table and introduced in the email was to move forward with presenting the resolution supporting the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act to the Winston-Salem City Council for approval. And that approval includes the understanding that edits and changes to the template can be made. And that motion did pass unanimously in an email vote. And so the last few weeks, members have been able to make edits or take a look at it. I did hear from Denise, and since she's not here tonight, I'll just share on her behalf that she was fine with the resolution as it was written in that template. So that was her input, but yeah, that'll be up to you all tonight. Because we have quorum, we can move to approve the final version of that will go to City Council, which at this point will be in May, if we do approve it tonight or sometime this month. So with that information on the table and reviewed, I'll turn it over to you all now to share your thoughts on that resolution and discuss it and consider passing a version of that tonight.
I guess, Raji, didn't you say that most of the ones you saw pretty much passed them as the template was? Is that the last thing I remember you saying?
Yeah, so a lot of jurisdictions have passed it, and so it is just a standard national push. And at the city level, it makes no difference to us because basically carbon taxation and dividend would happen at the federal level. And a lot of the current Congress members, half of the Congress members are already on board with this. The dollar amounts may vary in the future. So there's a starting point of $15, I think, per ton of carbon. And then every year it goes ratcheting up. And all the revenue they collect, they basically give that revenue back in a per capita basis to the people. So although your gas price or your food price or your clothing price might jump up, for most of us, what we get back will be more than what we had to pay for the extra carbon. But the whole concept over here is everything carbon costs us more than what we are actually paying for it. So $4 a gallon is not really the cost of $4 a gallon of gasoline. It's asthma, it's people's lung function. So many things are affected because of carbon, and the storms are getting worse, all those things. So if you put a cost on carbon, people are gonna hopefully shift the way they use it, how much they use it, and eventually we will move towards a cleaner source. So that is the whole idea. And right now, this template is a national template by the CCL, Climate Change Lobby, I think they're called. And if the city council needs somebody to come present, I know Bill Blancato, a local lawyer, he is big into it, and he would be happy to come present. Yes. The only other thing I know about is there's a little software that MIT made to see, to model different ideas about how to fight climate change. And so they said, okay, what if we plant 1 billion trees? What if we put 1 billion megawatts of kW solar panels on the roofs? And all these things were compared side by side with the cost and the impact it would have. And it turns out that this simple taxation model is the one that will get us the furthest and the quickest. So that is why Europeans are going in that direction. The Canadians are already going in that direction. So we are sort of behind. So that is the whole spiel on it, as I understand it. But there are lots of little things that go with it that people like Bill might be able to explain to our council members if they have a question.
Yeah, Bill is actually the one who sent it to all of the council members to start with. But for the sake of this committee, I would present on behalf of the committee accepting the resolution, just because Bill is not a part of this committee. If it was, he can of course still voice his support for it, but in the committee meetings is I would be the one doing that. But at the larger council meeting, that would be fine if Bill wanted to add some comments. Of course, they would come at the end of the meeting during the public comment period after the vote already happened, but could still help, talk about the resolution if he wanted to. All right, well, did anybody have any changes that they did want to make to that resolution? Like I said, Denise did share that she was fine with it as is.
And do we expect this to pass? Maybe not unanimously, but it seems like all the research suggests.
Well, there was interest from certain council members. It's hard to tell just because this resolution is a little bit different in that, it's not really committing the city itself to anything. It's really just, like you said, I think voicing the support for this act at the federal level and encouraging our state representatives to vote for it. So, I don't know that I have reason to believe it wouldn't pass, but, every now and then there are just things that strike council members a certain way. So it's hard to say at this point, but, Yeah, I think they also sent it to you guys because, I think they trust your judgment here. So if you all come out and say, we think the resolution is a good idea for the city to do, and, we support it as the template was written, then, I don't see any of them having any additional hesitations. But anyway, so yeah, and to review the process again of, next steps, if you all do pass this tonight. So I would then work on, there's some internal documentation that needs to be completed in order to get this on an agenda. So I would work on that piece on behalf of you all. And then we would be sending this to the General Government Committee meeting in May, which, let me see what date that would be. That would be May 10th would be that meeting, which happens at 4:30. And so we would probably get on that agenda, depending on how full it is. But if that committee then, those committee members then approve that, it will move to the May 16th City Council meeting for final approval. And that's where the public comment period comes into play. There generally is not one for these smaller committee meetings. But that's sort of the process that we're looking at in the timeline. But yeah, so, and, of course, if it didn't pass, you all could choose to make changes to it based off of any comments or, go from there. But again, I think that with the support of you all, I could see that being, what some council members were looking for. So yeah, with that in mind, yeah, Christy.
With other resolutions that I've been a part of for the city, our committee or group that we've been working on has been encouraged to attend the meetings, not just to speak. Is that something that you would recommend for our group to attend and show our support in person?
Yeah, that would be fine. I'll actually need to check on that because I think that the council meetings are still restricting the number of people in person. Okay. So I can verify that.
That'd be wonderful. I'd like to attend if possible in person.
Yeah, and that is more for the full city council meetings as well. So these smaller, so the general government committee meeting, I think it's probably not something that happens very often. But again, I'll make sure with the current restrictions and stuff that we have, what that policy, where that policy sits right now. So that's a good question, and I will follow back up with you all once I find out.
Thank you.
Well, if nobody has any changes they want to make to the resolution, then the next step would just be for somebody to motion to approve it as is. And then we would everyone would vote yay or nay, and we would have our decision.
I move to approve it as is.
And I second it. Thank you, Leah.
All right, and I'll just call people and you just say what your vote is. So Christy?
Yay.
Lee?
Yeah.
Leah?
Yes.
Rajesh?
Yes.
Kira?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
All right, well, congratulations. We have a resolution. I will, like I said, start working on that internal paperwork, and you all will be able to see that when they release the agenda. So I'll let you all know when I know when we're on the agenda, and make sure you all are aware of everything, all the next steps that are happening. Other than that, that I believe is all that we had on our agenda for tonight. So I will open it up to any new business that anybody may have that they want to introduce or to discuss I know that in October, I want to say we voted on a new subcommittee. Is that right? I want to say it was for the climate change, greenhouse gas work generally, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes, it was basically to do a follow-up on the resolution that we had passed back in November of 2020.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking for people wanting to, I know Jordan had, she's not here today, but had said that she was interested,
That's
but
right.
I haven't heard anybody wanting to work on it, but I'm opening that, I guess, invitation again, that if you guys want, we can meet on a bi-weekly or every 2 weeks, even if it's 15-20 minutes, we can meet and see where we are, or what ideas we have, or what plan we can suggest to the city in achieving the goals that we set out in that resolution. So that was about 1.5 years ago, about 17 months ago. And we had an intermediate goal by 2025 to reduce the carbon footprint by 40% for the buildings and fleets. And I don't think much has happened, partially because of COVID, partially because, it takes a while for funding to, I guess, come through and everything. So the solar panels is probably the first thing that we are seeing in going in that direction. And I'm sure there might be other things in the works, like electrifying the fleets, or swapping out some gas guzzlers for something newer. But there is another coalition out there working that is, I'm not a part of it directly, but the PEA is organizing it. And I believe all the major players in the city or in the county that work on environmental issues, they've been getting together, and they are basically requesting a plan of action or a status update. And I was hoping that this subcommittee would interact with them, or be an interface between the public and the city and get the information flowing back and forth.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I'll add, so right now we are just starting to work on gathering our emissions data from 2021. That data is gathered annually, so the calendar year rather than fiscal year. But based off of the numbers from 2020, just as a result of the changes that we made to our operations because of COVID, our internal operations emissions were, we did see a 5.7% reduction, which, doesn't sound like much, but is pretty good for 1 year. And so, like I said, we're just starting to get those numbers for 2021. So I'm not sure what that second year of COVID looked like in those emissions numbers. But I'll also add that our city council just accepted the newest strategic plan that they helped put together. And this is a strategic plan that they do every 4 years to just sort of focus their goals and lay them out in a plan. And in that plan includes moving forward with more fleet electrification. So thank you for also mentioning that, Rajesh. Jogged my memory, just because, like I said, this is newly accepted, so I'm not as familiar yet with it, but it did specifically mention doing that for our fleet pool vehicles. And so those are the vehicles that aren't necessarily assigned to a department, but can be checked out for use by any city employees for city use. So those are the vehicles I think we will do our best to start with. So they are the light duty. They're not any kind of like heavy trucks or machinery. But I'll also add that with our new recycling contract and us attempting to take it, the curbside collection piece in-house onto city crews, we are adding 12 new trucks to our fleet. So that'll probably add to our emissions a little bit, I would think, since that's a dozen new really big trucks that are not very efficient. So anyways, those are a couple of developments that do relate to some of those goals. But yeah, that would be great if the committee wanted to look into that. And of course, I can help with that, and we'll need to be at those meetings anyways. Yeah, Christy.
So, sorry,
Christy had.
Yeah, I would just love to join the subcommittee. Please put me in, put my name in the hat. I would love to get moving on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
a couple questions. Sorry, a couple of questions. So, is the city fleet electrification, is that from the VW funding, or is it the city's own money? Because I know there was VW funding available.
Yeah, so the VW funding is more for the charging infrastructure rather than the fleet vehicles, at least on the, like I said, the smaller scale. I think that there was money to replace like trucks and buses, but those are not the kinds of vehicles that we'll be starting with. So we won't be using the VW money for that, or won't be able to. And there hasn't been money committed yet to this, but it's just in their like 4-year plan to do so. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Right. And I have a second question for the recycling trucks. Yeah, on the surface, it sounds like we are buying more trucks, but the two things that come to mind is it will replace the mileage driven by the contractor trucks. And the second thing that comes to mind is if these trucks haven't been purchased yet, is there any impact we could have as a sustainability committee, or the thrust of your department, Helen, that could these trucks be as efficient as possible, or even electric, or even I guess the compressed natural gas or something that is better than diesel? Yeah,
so to the point about electric, I know that some cities have started to look into that. I believe Wilmington has one electric truck, but we have been in discussion with some of the local truck groups who are looking into that and starting to consider that transition. And what we've heard from them is that they're just not in a place to be able to provide like a full fleet's worth of electric trucks at this point. And then we also, our fleet staff within the city who'd be working on those trucks aren't trained to work on electric trucks. So there's, a hang up there. I think it's on the horizon for sure. It's just not quite here yet. And then I do think just because of all of the supply chain and shipping delays, I believe have ordered those trucks already, just again, to try to get them in time. We need to order them, as far in advance as possible. And that was also approved back in March by City Council. So I think that went through pretty quickly afterwards. But you're right to your point about, it will be replacing the routes run by the contractor. And we're also going to try to reroute, which, we can consider, fuel efficiency or something like that in our reroute, to try to make sure that, they're running as efficiently as possible on their day-to-day routes. So yeah, those are great points.
I have one follow-up question, somewhat tangentially related. Did our city specifically get any money from the bipartisan infrastructure bill that will increase our funding as far as sustainability in Winston-Salem that we're aware of? So
that bill, I don't know that it designated money in the same way that like ARPA did, but there's a lot of funding available, but they're all through, as far as my understanding goes, grant funds. And so a lot of the grants available related to sustainability through that bill are EV related. So, because we have goals for our internal fleet, I'll see if those fit. But those kinds of bills may want that money to go to public EV infrastructure. And we're still working with Duke to a degree on their park and plug program, and we need to know where they're going to be putting some charging stations in our city still. Not sure yet on what they've decided, but so that's what the most applicable parts seem to be for. There may be some funding related to sustainability through another means. But yeah, just at first glance, most of it is for that EVSE infrastructure.
Is that something that our committee could look into as far as which grants would be applicable, that we could use within the city to start funding money towards not this necessarily this particular purchase of the 12 vehicles for the fleet, but other issues that relate to the former resolution?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. I think that if you were to tie it back to that resolution, is something that maybe this new subcommittee could include in their duties. If that's something that the full committee wants to work on, up to you guys. But yeah, I think that's related enough that would be helpful to look into and hear your suggestions on.
Thank you.
So if there's not much going on, I can just talk about something that I read this morning. Minnesota, the cities started banding together, and because the state takes 6 to 9 years to update their building codes, energy efficiency codes, the cities basically said, we can't wait that long. So they started banding together, and they are proposing to their legislature to allow the cities to update their codes and go with the national codes, international codes faster, just to fight climate change. And I don't know if they follow Dillon rule or what it is, but yeah, because they're talking about it, I think they have the same issue that we have, that the state has to pass these building codes and cities cannot. Like in Texas, cities and jurisdictions can pass their own standards. But I thought that was an interesting movement towards getting this rolling faster, because people can't wait anymore. And if that happens, if that passes, then we will have an example to follow here in North Carolina, and all the big cities are ready. So we should just start banding together with Charlotte and Raleigh and Durham and Chapel Hill and Winston and Greensboro and get it done.
We have to a degree. So what you're talking about, the group of cities, I mean, we have that already in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. It's the cities initiative that the Environmental Defense Fund organizes. And that is a common topic that we discuss at these meetings, more so in terms of interacting with the North Carolina's Utilities Commission, Duke Energy directly. But yes, that definitely sounds like an interesting case study to follow closely to see, what happens, because I think you're right. It sounds like they are probably in a similar situation, because otherwise there would almost be no need to do that if they were already allowed to make their own rules as cities and municipalities. So thanks for bringing that to the attention of the committee. I'll follow that, like I said. Also, I realize that I am not used to having to update you all on food resilience, but as that is our newest division in the sustainability office, there are some updates there that I will go ahead and share with you guys. We opened the Liberty Street Urban Farmers Market this year. Usually that opens in June, but we opened it in April 1st, and it'll be every Friday through September 30th. I've heard some rumors that Denise may be a vendor there on certain Fridays. So that would be a good opportunity if you wanted to stop by to see her. But that is going well, and we're making progress slowly but surely on the hydroponics site as well. So those are our two biggest projects, I think, right now in that area. But I gotta remember that one in the future.
A quick question about the food resilience. Do you have a committee that works on it, or how
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Urban Food Policy Council. So they
Okay.
meet every second Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. So yeah, you can, like these meetings, those are all on the city's YouTube page as these continue to be virtual. But yes, so they do have a dedicated group to that, who does assist a lot with the Liberty Street Market and generally food access issues.
And it would be wonderful for our committee to have a person over there, a contact point that we can discuss things, get updates, when things would be wonderful. Because the first thing that comes to mind is what are we doing for food waste, which is 40% of our food stream goes to waste. And if there is, I know the Europeans are doing pushing hard on preventing food waste, and all the grocery stores and everybody, they're mandated not to waste food and donate it in a timely manner and all that. So again, don't know where the Dillon rule comes in, but if we could start doing those kind of things locally, wouldn't that be wonderful? But
yeah,
contact would be wonderful to have.
Well, you know, our food resilience program manager in my department is their staff support. So we are pretty much directly tied to them a little bit more closely than we have been.
Okay.
I will say the topic that they're discussing the most right now is focusing on food deserts and trying to improve access to food, and then water access as well to folks who want to be able to start a garden within city limits. And so not exactly tied to food waste. That's sort of the other end of the spectrum there from what they're currently discussing and working on. But, if that ever does just come up organically with them, no pun intended, then there could be some good opportunities there to maybe collaborate on a food waste policy or research or whatever it is. But I keep up with those meetings pretty well. So I'm happy to keep you all updated if you want to know anything. But again, would recommend reviewing some of those previous meetings if you all are interested. Leah.
Helen.
I'm sorry, Amber.
I was just going to ask, what specifically, you said there was some movement on the hydroponics. And I was wondering what in terms of where are we with that? I know that's a really a source of
I know that was a very political way of putting it for me. I know, but yeah, we are. I'm just going to say very generally hoping and aiming to have that site functioning in its purpose by this summer. So now that we have a food resilience program manager, they are getting more directly involved with this project, which has helped a lot. And now that it'll be more under city oversight, I think that we'll be able to give you all more updates more regularly on that as well. But yeah, we know it's been slow. But yeah, now, like I said, now that we're more involved, we have a better idea of, the timeline there, and the summer is what we're aiming for, ambitiously the early summer. So May, June, maybe, but once we have stuff growing, we're gonna start identifying a solid distribution plan there, and really think through, you know, how we're going to distribute and who we're going to aim to like organizations or directly to people, things like that. We're going to sort of figure out in more detail.
And may I suggest, and you can pass it on, that we get pretty aggressive about letting people know that there is some movement, because again, you know, that facility is literally around the corner from where I live. And so I hear all the time kind of, you know, just people's just discontent with that. And I think it's important for them to know that there is some movement and
absolutely
restructure. So I don't know in terms of messaging, but I think it would be helpful, because right now I know that is a really a sore spot between the community and the city right now. So you know, around messaging, kind of just letting people know just what you just expressed, I think would go a long way.
Absolutely. I think that we're holding off most of our marketing strategies right now for that site until we do have food growing in that system. Just because things have been said, promises have been made before for that site. And, you know, you're right, it is part of why we are here now with it still. But yeah, we want to get, I think, to a good place where, you know, maybe we have a final, like an actual date set before we do the biggest push. But yeah, I hear you loud and clear there.
Well, I guess the other part of that would be is that I know that originally when that was proposed, it was proposed to provide jobs and training, and so and perhaps this is not the right place to ask those questions, but as you're talking about the official unofficial launch, I mean, where's all that falling?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. And again, I hear you. So we'll, and like I said, I mean, I'm getting updates from that site every day still. And so we're very much on top of it, but yeah, I think definitely, let's see, this is still the beginning of the month. I think that more firm decisions and more firm information will start being shared this month about it. I don't, again, I can't say exactly when, because that is still, that's it more in the hands of our food resilience program manager at this point. But yeah, I'm happy to share that information with you all, and we'll push it through the UFPC as well. Obviously, our marketing team, they just installed some cameras in there to get time-lapse videos. So we should have some pretty cool stuff to share out once we're ready to do that. But yeah. Okay,
so I guess I should be asking these questions to the food resilience program manager, because I again, as I hear you talk about it being ramped up, I don't understand how it will be ramped up without the initial promise of people in the community having an opportunity to be a part of that. So
yeah, I believe that the folks through Goler CDC they're the ones communicating with the Boston Thurman Neighborhood Association right now, from what I understand.
Okay.
So they are still involved in this as well. And so between them and Mariah, who is our food resilience staff, yeah, those two folks should be able to get you what you're looking for. And I can connect you to Mariah if you'd like.
That's okay. I can do it though. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you already went over this, but I was just wondering quickly, given the shifting of the committee we've had a lot of members fall out or roll off, what's the status of the subcommittees that we had before, I guess?
Yeah, great question. So, all of those were ad hoc, meaning they were to a degree fairly informal. That being said, I think there could be some motions made to close some of those out. I think you're right. I know that it's been a while since we've seen Stephanie here, so I'll reach out to her and see if we can, get her maybe here in June for that meeting. And by doing that, either close that recycling subcommittee or, get it started back up again, sort of whatever she feels is best, since she's the remaining member of that subcommittee. I believe the other one was the Green Jobs and Equity one, which I know, Leah, you were a part of.
And Lee and Sarah and Denise.
Yeah, that's right. And so I don't know what you all want to do. There's 3 of you still here at least. So probably our strongest still in numbers. And then Kira, I don't know if you feel comfortable, if you wanted to officially end the trees subcommittee that you and Dane had going, or if you want to, take another direction, or, I'll leave that up to you as well, as now the sole member of that group.
Right. I mean, I would love to continue to study that, but I don't have the capacity or the bandwidth, connections with the schools to get the students to help with the research and measurement. Right. So he was my connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would really, especially after this last season, Forsyth County has so many tree losses across the county. And I only know this because I lost 17 during the snowstorm, and the city was backed up for weeks with tree pickups. So,
yeah.
And I really hate to see in my area a bunch of invasives come in that aren't really productive to what we need for, I'm sorry, I got a new puppy and he's biting me. But I would like to see what the impact would be, because I know here we just don't replace trees in my area of the county. It's just left up to the invasives to come in, and they really don't do much of anything.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I just have a follow-up kind of related question. How does this committee interact with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school districts? How are we connected with that?
So the short answer is that we're not, just because the school system is part of the county, and the county has their own environmental advisory board, as well as their own environmental and assistance protection department. So and within that, the school system functions so independently even of the county that we're several degrees separated from them. And that's mostly to say, like, our authority as a committee here doesn't hold weight in the school system as it does, for our city council and for our city organization.
Kira, can you just explain a little bit more? I wasn't aware of your committee as I'm new. Can you just explain it a little more?
Okay, sure. So Dana and I were there has never been an official Canopy study in Winston-Salem. And we were going to take that on to see what the Canopy coverage looked like in Winston-Salem. How could we use that information to make projections on emissions reduction? And we were going to utilize students, because he was the, he was my professor. I can't believe I can't remember the class. Ecology? Yes. And he was going to utilize students from Winston-Salem State and Salem College to help gather the data and present an official study for the city.
And then he is now working at High Point University. Is that right, Kira?
Yes.
Yeah. So he unfortunately left Salem, and with that, unfortunately, also left this committee. Which is why Kira is now our sole representative of that group.
I think I think that was one of the more productive subcommittees. You guys had a whole report, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I think that it would I think there would be a way to salvage that. And, you know, it seems like you've done a lot of the initial labor there. So I don't know. I think we could keep going with that. Maybe. I'd be happy to help if I can.
I'm not formally connected with anyone in the school district, but I have some relationships. And even though our committee is not directly related as a formal group, it's very common to, you know, meet and talk at school board meetings, which is something that I love to do. So you were looking mostly at the college level, but if there would be any room on, you know, some of the elementary, middle, or high school levels to have a collaborative piece of that. I know collecting data might be hard, but maybe the planting side of things, if things were to move forward. So I would be willing to help or be a part of. It sounds like a really wonderful project.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I didn't even think that far ahead of planting.
I know. Yeah.
Right. I'll take a look at what we have, and we have Winston-Salem State on the phone too, don't we?
Look at you.
Yes. Yes, you do have. And we have several ecologists over there.
Okay. So I will look at what we have. Can I reach out to you to bounce some ideas off of you? Okay, great. And Christy, I will reach out to you and see where we can go with this. But of course,
sorry.
Yes.
One of my always on my agenda is amending the tree ordinance for the city. I know it's very hard, but that is always a burr in my saddle, that we don't have a very aggressive tree ordinance where developers just come and tear down the trees and don't plant them back, or plant crepe myrtles, which are not really,
exactly
carbon as much. But
well, that's why I think their project is important, because we have to have the data before we can, we definitely force through the ordinance. So getting the data about what we have right now and how it's changed or how it will change will help.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I will stay firm within this committee, and I will just reach out to anyone who's interested in joining. Please be my guest. It doesn't have to be official right now. I just need to get everything back together that Dana and I had, so I can present it to you all to see where we are.
Great. Thanks, Kira.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you want to get on that June agenda, just let me know, and I'll be sure to give you guys a line item there.
Okay.
But yeah, and just a really quick reminder, if any subcommittees decide they want to meet, let me know. I do need to be there as a city representative, since you all are still representatives of this committee. So
yes.
Yeah, just plugging that for a quick reminder, since it's been a while, I think, since we've had any of those subcommittee meetings. Yeah, Amber.
I just wanted to just give a quick, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it definitely was interesting. Had an opportunity to tour a passive house yesterday. And it's the only certified passive house in North Carolina. And it was just really interesting to see how the purpose of the house is really to be like zero in terms of carbon emissions and energy efficient, and it was just really interesting. And so I've been working with the homeowners to try to get them to present to Forsyth Tech to see if we can get a training program for it, because from what I understood yesterday, I guess passive houses to a traditional build would be as what EVs are to a traditional vehicle. So I was just really excited to see it and to learn a little more about it. But yeah, so I thought I'd share that with the committee just as another way that we can move towards being kinder to the environment.
Where is that house located?
In Sherwood Forest.
Oh, it's local. Wow.
Yeah, it's local. Yeah.
I just always anticipate it to be in like Chapel Hill or somewhere in the Triangle area, but that's exciting. That's great.
Yeah, actually, the homeowners, the husband is an engineer and kind of became interested in it as he and his wife thought about building their home. And he explained that he kind of went through all the trainings and certifications. So he was able to do the design and kind of, go through the process himself because he had the training. But it just, he was saying that it really, I think Rakesh was talking earlier about 6 or 7 years behind on regulatory reform, and he was saying that that the building of that house, the standards are so much higher than the code expectations. So he didn't have any problems with getting the house to pass inspections. And I just am going to start kind of talking that up in a lot of different circles, because I do think that we could be at the forefront of this versus catching up later. And we very rarely get an opportunity to be the forerunner on many issues, but this could be one that we could be the forerunner on.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and great point too. Just because we're limited to actually set our own local building standards doesn't mean we can't build to better ones, if we wanted to. So we just can't regulate it like that. But anyways, so great point, Amber. That's definitely so interesting. I never knew that a house like that was around here, so close. So for the sake of time and just because we've gotten through our agenda items, I'll do one last call for anything pressing that anybody wants to mention. Like I said, I'll start working on the information to go to council for the resolution that we passed tonight. But yeah, if nobody else has anything they want to bring up, then we can motion to end the meeting.
Motion.
I'll move to end.
Second.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you all for showing up. We got a quorum again. And appreciate all of your time this evening, and we will be in touch.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.